Okay, so this is Excel 102, and so I strongly recommend for this series that you check out the free Excel workbook at divideandconquermath.com, because if you're trying to learn Excel, you really need to do it. So in this series, I actually have 4 different topics. So in this video, we're going to talk about basic stats formulas, but I also have extremely helpful keyboard shortcuts, creating graphs, and frequency and histograms in this series, just to get you started with kind of stuff, the basic stuff that you need to get started in a stats class. So let's do it. Okay, so this is the Excel 102 workbook, and I'm on the basic stats formulas tab down here. You can see that there's 4 tabs, one for each topic. So we're just going to talk about some really basic stats formulas using this data set here. So some of the operations that we're going to do with this don't necessarily make a ton of sense, but it's just kind of there to get us started with something. The data set comes from Kaggle. I've got a link to it in my workbook. Okay, so we talked about in Excel 101 different ways to sum things, but there is actually a sum formula. And so remember, to start a formula, you're going to click on the cell that you want, and then you are going to hit the equal sign, and that indicates to Excel that you want to start a formula. Now, the nice thing with a lot of Excel formulas is that they're named in a really obvious way. So if I'm trying to sum up the data, the formula in this case is just sum. That's it. And so, okay, then after you get your formula started, so a lot of times if you are making a guess as to what that formula is, Excel will give you a list of different formulas to use, and you can either double click on the formula. Usually what I do though is I just go ahead and do an open parenthesis. And so I've chosen the sum formula, and now it's giving me prompts for what I need to do. And it's saying, what numbers do you want me to sum? And so in this case, the numbers that I wanted to sum are going to be these values here. So I talked about this at length in the Excel 101 video about just how to grab data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this first cell here, and then I'm just going to drag all the way down to the end of the data set. And so now I've got everything here. Now I want you to notice that at the moment I haven't closed the parenthesis on this. So let's say that I'm just kind of in a groove here and I'm not thinking, so I just hit enter. So a lot of times what Excel will do is it will actually close the parenthesis for you. It depends on the formula, but if you, like a lot of times if you forget to do it, it will just automatically do it for you. So now if I click on this formula, I can double click on the cell. I can either double click on the cell or I can click on the formula bar up here. Doesn't matter which way you want to go. But now I can see what data it's summing up, and so we're all good to go here. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to find the average of all of the data. And so average and mean are really the same word, but in Excel, the formula that you're going to use is the average formula. We don't use the mean formula. And average, as you can see, it's the exact same way, right? So just what do you want me to take the average of? So I can just do the same thing. I can grab all of these formulas here. I can close the parenthesis. We're good to go. Now, I can keep going with this. So I can go ahead and find the median. Median is the exact same thing, right? That is the name of the formula. So I can go ahead and select all of these. What do you think the formula for mode is going to be? Well, of course, the guess that you're going to make here is that you're going to use mode, but something interesting happens with this. And we actually, there's several problems with mode in this particular example. So first of all, when I type in mode, so I see these different formulas, but I see the formula that I would have liked to use. It has this little, like, be careful sign on it, right? This little caution. And it says this function is available for compatibility with Excel 2007 and earlier. So if I were to try to use it, it's telling me that I might get an error. So I go ahead and I select all my values, and I see that I actually do get an error. So sometimes you can go ahead and use those formulas and they will work, but they do have like a caution. And so I think it's worth it to also just explore some of the other formulas. So for this one, this says mode.mult, and so this returns a vertical array of the most frequently occurring values. So this is going to return a list of values. So I don't necessarily want a list. I just want to know if there's a single mode. And so this just says if I click on this, returns the most frequently or repetitive value. Okay, so if I double click on this formula, so I can see now it's like the same thing, right? So now I can just select all the numbers that I want. So I go ahead and I select these, and I hit enter, but I've still got an error. Okay, and so now we need to think for a second, right? So in this particular case, the mode doesn't actually make sense because we have all these weird decimals, right? So the other thing with like mode is that, yeah, it should work the way that you think, but you do need to think about the data that you're using. And so in this case, using a mode wouldn't actually be like, wouldn't make sense. And we would actually want to use more of like a frequency and histogram chart. But, you know, it's important to know how to troubleshoot these things. Okay, so continuing on. So next I want to find the minimum and the maximum. So I'm going to use the min formula to find the minimum value in this list. And I will use the max formula to find the maximum value in this list. So min and max. And then finally we have standard deviation in this list. So this is going to be STD. So I put in STD, and so this comes in for standard, or really ST is standard, and then DEV is deviation. But so once again, you can kind of see that there is this list here. And so we have either standard deviation.p or standard deviation.s. And so the P, in case you forget, it says it's for an entire population. And so it's very rare for a standard deviation that you ever have the entire population. So unless you are specifically told, it wouldn't make sense to use this one. We have height data here. We have 25 heights. I don't know the context of this, so I'm assuming this is all the heights in the world, and I know that there's more than 25. So this is definitely a sample of heights, right? So that means that I want to choose this stdev.s. And so if I double click on that, I can just go ahead and select, and it will calculate that standard deviation for me, no problem. Okay, cool. So for standard deviation, just to round that out, you typically want to use the .s. The last thing I want to talk about are quartiles. So for quartiles, so I talk about this in length in my classes. Quartiles have different ways that they can be computed. And even the way that Excel computes quartiles is a little bit different from how stats books compute quartiles. So if I want to do a quartile, so you can see I already put in a Q and it's already queuing up quartile, right? So there's two types of quartiles that we can really use. So there's the old quartile function, so we don't want to use that. We have this inclusive and this exclusive. And so it says here at the end, exclusive, and if I go here, this means inclusive. So what this is going to do is, if you think about how your data is ordered, do you include the endpoints of those data, yes or no? And so it's just totally a preference thing. And so that's why it says inclusive versus exclusive, which is right. There really isn't actually. And like I said, even trying to keep this video short, even the way that Excel computes this is a little bit different because it computes this based on percentiles instead of like ordering the data. So just something to kind of have a heads up on. There's a bunch of different ways to compute quartiles. So for now, I just need to use the inclusive one. So I'm going to go ahead and just select that formula. And so it says array. So what array do we want? And then the second prompt is this quart. And you can see the different values that you can put in. So 1 stands for the first quartile. And then I can do that again. So I can do quartile, quartile. So I select my data. Second quartile is the median. And then we have the third quartile. So I just put in a 3 for the third quartile. But if we compare that to the exclusive quartile, or exclusive, so it's the same thing. So I select the same data. 1 is for the first quartile. So you can see there's just a slight difference in the two. And so again, like this isn't like a right or wrong thing. So very often you have to be told which method to use. Let's see, this is the median, so that's going to be the second one. And then the third quartile, just finish entering this in. You can do it like that. Okay, So you can see that there's slight differences. And like I said, there's no right or wrong with this. It's just whichever method that you're using. So a lot of times you have to be told. And then finally, there's the IQR. So IQR is always going to be the third quartile minus the first quartile. So you can just take one cell minus the other like you see here. And I can just copy that formula over. Okay, and so that is an overview of just some of your basic stats formulas for Excel. So as a reminder, in this series, I have 4 different videos. So I've got the next one is extremely helpful keyboard shortcuts, creating graphs, and then frequency and histograms. So feel free to check out those videos. And also if you found this helpful, I would love it if you hit that like button, leave me a comment to let me know how things are going, or subscribe to the channel. And otherwise, I am going to leave it at that. I hope to catch you guys in another video. Bye.